The shadows of Lebanon Lake. Lebanon, Pennsylvania, woke to the hum of another day. In a small, aging house on the edge of town, Lavelle Braithwaite rolled out of bed at 6 a.m., just like he'd done for 20 years. The old wooden floor creaked beneath his feet. Beside him, Shanice, his wife of 8 years, turned over, pretending to still be asleep. Lavelle paused by the mirror. A 45-year-old man stared back at him, dark skin creased by years of hard labor, gray stubble shading his jaw, eyes dulled by time. Working as a mechanic at Bobby's Auto Repair barely covered the bills, but it was steady work. It was enough to feed his small family, though never enough to fulfill the dreams he once had. Downstairs, he brewed a pot of coffee. Shanice joined him 15 minutes later, her long braids tied in a high ponytail. At 49, she still carried herself with grace, but her face betrayed the toll of years. She worked at the Bluebird Cafe downtown, a place buzzing with small-town gossip and secrets. "Is Jermaine still asleep?" Lavelle asked without looking up. As always, Shanice muttered, her tone sharp. That boy would sleep through the end of the world. "Jermaine Braithwaite," Lavelle called up the stairs. "It's 7:30. Get moving or you'll miss practice." Moments later, a tall, athletic teen appeared, his eyes heavy with sleep. 17-year-old Jermaine, Lavelle's son from his first marriage, was the pride of Lebanon High's basketball team. He nodded silently, sitting at the table. Shanice set a plate of eggs in front of him without a word. "Got practice late tonight?" Lavelle asked. "Yeah," Jermaine said. "Coach wants to try a new play before Friday." "Don't forget your clinic appointment tomorrow," Lavelle reminded him. "You need those results for your scholarship." Jermaine winced. "Yeah, I remember." At the mention of the clinic, Shanice froze at the stove, her shoulders tightening. Lavelle didn't notice. "All right, I'm off," he said, grabbing his keys. "See y'all tonight." As the door closed, silence settled like dust. Jermaine pushed his plate away. "I'm heading out," he said. "Jermaine," Shanice called softly. "What?" "Nothing. Have a good day." Their eyes met for one tense second, filled with guilt, fear, and something darker. That afternoon, Jermaine's mind wasn't in class. His thoughts circled back to 3 months ago, when his father went to a car show in Philadelphia. That night, he and Shanice had stayed home, a bottle of wine, a movie on the couch, too close too long. A brush of hands. A look, then the line had been crossed. "This can't happen again," she'd whispered the next morning. But it did. Again and again. Now, as his friend Cashin Morrow nudged him in math class, he barely heard. "Bro, you've been spaced out for weeks." "What's up?" "Nothing, gentlemen leet." Cashin frowned. "If you say so." After school, instead of heading to practice, Jermaine went straight to the Lebanon Medical Clinic. He'd been exhausted lately, feverish, weaker than usual. The waiting room smelled like antiseptic and fear. His name was called. "Jermaine Braithwaite," said a nurse. "Dr. Patterson will see you now." Inside, Dr. Patterson, an older woman with kind eyes, gestured for him to sit. "I have your results," she said gently. "Jermaine, you tested positive for HIV." The words hit him like a gunshot. That's impossible," he stammered. "I know this is hard," she said softly, "but it's not a death sentence. With treatment." But Jermaine wasn't listening. His mind raced. There was only one person he'd ever been with. Shanice. By evening, the truth burned in his chest like fire. He called Cashin. "I need to talk," he said, voice trembling. 20 minutes later, Cashin found him sitting alone on a park bench, staring at nothing. "Man, what happened?" I tested positive," Jermaine whispered. "For HIV." Cashin froze. "What? How?" "It was Shanice," Jermaine said, his voice cracking. "My stepmom." Cashin blinked. "You're kidding. It started months ago." "She knew, Cashin. She had to know." Cashin grabbed his arm. "You need to confront her. You can't keep this secret." Jermaine nodded. He would. Tomorrow. At the Bluebird Cafe, Shanice was restless, dropping dishes and snapping at customers. For 3 years, she'd known about her diagnosis, kept it from everyone, even her husband. Monthly visits to a clinic in Harrisburg, medication hidden in her purse. She convinced herself she wasn't contagious, that she was careful. But the guilt was catching up. That evening, when Lavelle came home early, she froze. Something wrong? She asked. Bobby cut me loose early, he said, eyeing her. Where's Jermaine? Probably out, she said. You 2V been acting strange, he said. You hiding something? You're paranoid, she snapped. Maybe talk to your son once in a while before accusing me. He sighed. I just know something's off. When Jermaine came home, the tension in the air was thick enough to choke on. Where were you? Lavelle asked. Just needed some air, Jermaine muttered. Shanice's eyes followed him as he disappeared upstairs. Later that night, when the house was quiet, Jermaine came back down. We need to talk, he whispered. Not here, Shanice hissed. Your father will hear. Then where? Tomorrow. 4 o'clock. By the lake. The next day, gray clouds loomed over Lebanon Lake. Shanice waited on a park bench, wearing a red dress that shimmered like blood under the fading sun. When Jermaine arrived, she tried to smile. You wanted to talk? I have HIV, he said flatly. And you're the only person I've ever been with. Her face drained of color. That's ridiculous. Stop lying. You knew. I didn't mean for this to happen, she whispered. So you did know. I found out 3 years ago, she admitted, voice trembling. But I never meant to hurt you. You ruined my life. Jermaine shouted. My scholarship, everything. Don't be dramatic, she said. You'll take your meds and live a normal life. What about Dad? He deserves to know. Her eyes turned cold. You tell him, and you destroy him. You think he can live knowing his son slept with his wife? Jermaine froze. She was right. The truth would shatter his father. Then her tone shifted, a threat cloaked as concern. If you tell anyone, she warned, you'll lose everything. College, friends, your reputation. As she turned to leave, Cashin, hiding in the trees, watched silently. When she was gone, he approached. She threatened you? Yeah, Jermaine said, voice breaking. And she's right. I can't destroy my dad. That night, Shanice cooked an elaborate dinner. Lavelle found it strange, but said nothing. While she set the table, he went to shower and accidentally knocked her cosmetic bag from a shelf. A small bottle rolled out. He picked it up. HIV medication. His hands went cold. He walked into the living room, holding the bottle. Shanice, he said slowly. What's this? Her face turned white. The wine glass slipped from her hand, spilling crimson across the tablecloth. I can explain, she stammered. How long? He demanded. How long have you been lying to me? 3 years, she whispered. But I'm on medication. My virus is undetectable. You're safe. Lavelle shook his head. Safe? You lied to me, Shanice. For years. I was afraid, she pleaded. Afraid you'd leave me. I don't even know who you are anymore, he said, walking away. Later, Shanice slipped out into the night. She needed air and silence. The lake was her only refuge. She walked the dark trail alone, unaware of the shadow following her. The next morning, Marion Johnson, a 60-year-old jogger, found her body floating near the reeds. Her red dress was stained darker now, with blood. By 7 a.m., the area was swarming with police. Detective Latoya Harbison, one of Lebanon's best homicide investigators, surveyed the scene. Female, late 40s, said Dr. Ramirez, the coroner. Multiple stab wounds. Time of death between 10 and midnight. ID says Shanice Braithwaite. Latoya sighed. Murder in the heat of passion. A kitchen knife was found nearby, still smeared with blood. At 9 a.m., Detectives Harbison and Marcus Green knocked on the Braithwaite home. Lavelle answered, eyes tired. Officers, Mr. Braithwaite, Latoya said gently, I'm afraid we have bad news. Your wife was found dead this morning at Lebanon Lake. It appears to be homicide. The color drained from his face. He staggered back, speechless. From the hallway, Jermaine appeared, pale, trembling, staring at the detectives. Latoya's sharp eyes flicked between father and son. Something heavy hung in that silence, something darker than grief.